Good morning, friends. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to another Wellness Wednesday. We'll see if the kittens come to visit us today. I haven't seen them yet this morning. It's kind of a rainy day, so maybe they're hiding out in the garage more than usual. So first off, an update on another week of being dairy-free in my ketovore lifestyle and another week of alternating the I say high fat, but it's not really high fat. It's just regular ketovore days and then lean, more like protein sparing modified fast or just lean days. I see a kitten coming now. They heard me talking. Go ahead, say good morning. Get it off your chest and then you can go play. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you, Cedar. Cedar wants to say hi too. Say good morning. Say good morning, Cedar. Okay, you kids go play. You kids go play. Okay, so dairy-free, still going well. Still happy with how I'm not having cravings for dairy and it's not been too hard. I did my video a few days ago, or I put out the video a few days ago on all the different dairy-free creamers I have been trying and testing out. And I'm happy to say that I have found a way that I enjoy my coffee. I mean, I think heavy cream is kind of in a class of its own and I'm never gonna find something that's that perfect. But what I'm drinking is actually really close, and it was partially because of the things I tried. So one of the things that I really liked that you saw in the video was the Vital Proteins creamer. It's collagen creamer, and I ordered the mocha flavor of that. Oh my gosh, it's so good, and it's not sweetened at all. So it just has like the it has like a coffee flavor in it, and it also has a chocolate flavor. It doesn't have actual coffee or chocolate in it. It just has flavoring, like natural flavorings. So I've been using some of that, and then also one of you recommended MCT oil powder and a specific brand of MCT oil powder, and I wish I could say your username, but it's in a different language, and I'm not even gonna attempt to figure that out. But if you want to let me know your name in English, I would appreciate that. But they let me know about an MCT oil powder that they said is the best, and so that's the one I ordered. I haven't tried any other MCT oil powders. I never have gotten onto the bandwagon of like mega dosing MCT oil powder, like the rage, all the rage a few months ago or a year ago maybe. So I really haven't experimented with MCT oil powders before. So I just got the one that was recommended, and it's actually really, really good. So I have been mixing those two things, the Vital Proteins mocha creamer and some of the MCT oil powder, and it is delicious. So good. I'm actually looking forward to my coffee again. Before, I was still drinking it because I didn't want to like go through caffeine withdrawals or anything, but it was like, oh, it kind of made me sad. I said my coffee tastes like sadness, but now my coffee tastes very happy. I'm actually very thrilled with what I have found. The only problem is that the Vital Proteins creamer is quite expensive. So I don't see myself using it long term regularly, because I drink, 2 to 3 cups of coffee per day, and that's gonna add up really quickly with the Vital Proteins creamer. But what I did was I ordered the different things that are in it, like the just straight coconut milk powder, and then I already had collagen powder, and so I'm gonna try to do a concoction of the MCT oil powder, the collagen powder, and the coconut milk powder, and get it to a ratio that I like, so I can kind of duplicate what I'm doing that I like so much. So definitely, if that works out, I will be doing a video on my own dairy-free creamer concoction that I enjoy. So dairy-free still going good, no weird things going on with that. I did have a little bit harder of a week as far as the lean versus regular ketovore days. There was one day where I was just extra tired, and then the next day, or there was just 2 days in a row where I was tired and then my mood was way off, and it wasn't like a time in my cycle when that made sense. So I was like, oh no, my shmec is going out of check. If you guys watched my video from last week, you'll know what I'm talking about. If you didn't watch my video from last week, you might think that sounds crazy. But go watch my video from last week and it'll all make sense. The next day I woke up with a pounding headache and like a cold. Just, regular cold symptoms. And I was like, oh no, I'm getting sick. But then that explained why I was tired and why I was just off the day or two before that. So I wasn't worried. Like, I was like, I really need to pay attention to this, make sure that things, like my hormones aren't getting messed up from, you know, my diet. But then once the cold came, I was like, oh, well, that makes sense. That explains it. So I'm not worried about my diet messing me up at this point. But like I said, I'm always keeping a really close eye on those shmec things. And so when something like that happens, I think, you know, immediately, what is it? What's causing this? And thankfully in this situation, it was just the cold. And the good thing is that I basically had cold symptoms for half a day. By the afternoon, I was completely healthy and fine. It was like I was coming down with something and then I just got over it without ever fully coming down with it. So that was good. Always a positive thing. I did notice on those days that I felt off. When I'm, you know, in a bad mood, then that can like feed into feelings of like I'm being deprived. Like when I'm in a bad mood, I want to have comfort food, you know, like normal. I did feel like, I don't know if I felt hungrier those days. I think I did legitimately feel hungrier those days, but also just wanting something and feeling like I couldn't have it. So I felt a little bit deprived, but I'm not like controlling my calories significantly. So I ended up like on one of my lean days, I ate about 1,200 calories instead of like 1,000 like I had been doing. So my calories went up a little bit, but it was still a very lean day. And it definitely made a difference for me, like psychologically, to just say, oh, I want something else. I'm going to eat something else and have my calories be a little bit higher. If I had been trying to stick to a certain calorie number, that would have been a completely different story. And I think it would have been triggering to me, like feeling like I'm deprived and like triggering me to eat something that I, you know, was off of my plan that I didn't want to eat. The cat is trying to drink my coffee again. So just having the perspective that if I'm hungry, I just can eat more if I need to is a really good thing for me. And it helps me not, you know, go into like any kind of a binge purge cycle. I'm not like giving up everything if I eat a little bit over the calories that I normally eat on a lean day. And it doesn't trigger that deprivation, you know, like in my brain that's like gonna urge me to go like eat everything in the kitchen. And I wanted to just chat a little bit about counting calories and counting macros, because when you're doing low carb, counting calories is kind of only half of the story. You kind of want to count macros as well. And some people only count macros and don't even count calories. So I told you when I was starting this experiment that I wasn't going to count calories and macros every day. I have experienced in the past that it has been triggering for me, like just seeing the number and feeling like I need to control it, or feeling guilty if the number's higher. I've found it very interesting and good for me to actually start counting calories and recognize that I'm not having that response anymore. And there are probably several reasons for that. One, I think I have grown in maturity and like detaching from, you know, detaching my worth from the size of my body or whatever, you know, that whole mental mind game of body image and food and all that. I think I have done a lot of work to get over that and to move past that. And then also, like I said, I'm not controlling my calories. I'm counting them to like get an idea, but I'm not, there's not like a number that I have to hit or that I can't go above, nothing like that. I just have some benchmarks like, you know, lower fat on the lower fat lean days and, you know, getting this much protein in, whether it's a lean day or a regular day. And so just seeing the information, it's really just information now, and I don't have as much emotion involved in the information. And so I'm really glad that I have done that, and that it's just been kind of like an eye-opening thing for me, is like, oh, I really have grown and changed, and I am making progress in that area. And after I realized how easy it was to count calories without having the emotion attached, I've started just counting them every day. Not super strictly, but just inputting everything into Carb Manager, which I've been using and really liking. And it just gives me an idea. I mean, calorie counting is never going to be perfect because, you know, you could have a steak, a tri-tip steak, 2 tri-tip steaks, and you enter them in both as tri-tip steak, but they both completely different macros because of the fat amount and all that. So I know that it's never going to be perfect, but just to get an idea it's helpful. And just have that big picture in my mind of, oh, this is the kinds of food I'm eating and these are the results I'm having. And so it's like just information, just data. And then having that reinforcement from that of showing myself that I have really changed and I can handle counting calories and counting macros without it messing with my head. It's been really good for me. So it kind of goes back to what I've talked about a couple times about how no food is unhealthy or healthy and no diet plan is unhealthy or healthy. It all really has to do with the state of the person that's going to eat that food or going to do that diet plan. I'm finding that it's really the same thing about counting calories and even about like weighing yourself or tracking whatever. For me, there was a time when both of those things were not good things for me to choose to do. And that was because of me, not because counting calories or counting macros or weighing yourself is in and of itself a bad thing, but because of the state my body was in and my brain was in and my emotional maturity, it wasn't right for me at that time. And so being able to recognize that and be honest with yourself, that's the hard part, I think. It's easier to look at things and say, oh, that's bad or that's good. It's very black and white, but it's a lot harder to, be introspective and to recognize where you are and be honest with yourself and put away emotions that might be clouding your judgment and deciding if something is good for you or not at a certain time. But doing that work is very rewarding, and I have found way better for my overall health than just labeling something as good or bad. Okay, so I told you last week that I was going to weigh myself in the middle of my October experiment, and so I weighed myself on the 15th. So when I first started dairy-free, that was at the end of September, I was 165.1. And then when I started the alternating lean and fat days, which was October 1st, I weighed myself again and I was 162.8. So that means I lost 2.3 pounds just in like 5 days of going dairy free. And then 2 weeks into my lean and fat days, I weighed in at 159, which is exciting because I haven't been solidly in the 150s. I don't know, since before Renee was born, probably. I will kind of like dip down into the 150s, but then hop right back up into the 160s. My body has been super, super happy at like low 160s to mid 160s. And so that's where I always seem like I pop back up to. So to see a 50 on the scale was pretty exciting. So 159, which means in the 2 weeks of doing lean and fat, I have lost 3.8 pounds. And in the total time since I started dairy free, I've lost 6.1 pounds. So I'd say things are going good, and I'm interested to see what the last 2 weeks of the challenge do, because a lot of times you can lose, inflammation and water weight in the beginning, and then it kind of slows down after that. So just gonna keep on going, and it'll be interesting to see where I end up. Thanks so much for hanging out with me on this Wellness Wednesday. Let's chat down in the comments. Like always, I love hearing everything that you guys are doing and what's working for you. And I will see you again in another video.